Hello, Bean. Bean, will you do the intro? Will you say welcome to the Unhinged Library? Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Unhinged Library.
I'm Alicia.
I am Hallie, and this is Jelly Bean. I will say on the top of the episode, Jelly Bean has been feeling under the weather the past few days, so you may not get to see her attacking me in this episode like she has every other episode. But I promise it's not because I discipline her, it's because she does not feel good right now. She has a bad bellyache.
I get it. I'm getting over a sinus thing. Me and Beanie are going through it. And I definitely could tell, too, she was kind of feeling a little weird because when I normally come into Hallie's apartment, she runs right up. And it took her a little bit to come out. So she'll probably be extra snuggly today. If not.
She is. She already is.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, just give me the nice pets.
Well, little bites. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bean. Thanks for biting me.
So how have you been this week, Hallie?
Pretty good. I took off 2 days to care for Bean. But I've been reading while I've been home and just hanging out, so it's good.
Are you catching up on some of your ARC reads?
I am in the middle of one right now, and it is enjoyable. I thought it was werewolves. I don't know. Nobody's brought up if they're werewolves. I just know the club that they're in is something to do with wolves. But it literally feels like I'm reading Sons of Anarchy. Like, how it's literally set up is the first episode of Sons of Anarchy, where, like, she's not a doctor, she's an alchemist in this, because it's fantasy. But it's like, oh, a female physician, alchemist, doctor person comes back to the small town she left to her boyfriend. Well, not to him, like they broke up, but to like the guy who was like, the son of the leader of a motorcycle club, and now his stepdad took over his dad's place as president after his dad was murdered, and his mom is married to the guy now, and I'm like, oh, it's just Clay and Gemma and Jack Steller, and it's Sons of Anarchy. Like, literally Sons of Anarchy. It's very enjoyable because I loved Sons of Anarchy. I'm not roasting this author. I love it. But I'm like, I know where your inspiration came from.
Yep. I've actually never watched Sons of Anarchy. I have it on my, like, to be watched. My TBW.
It's a comfort show for me at this point. Like, I mean, there are parts, be weary, trigger warnings, but
I almost started Peaky Blinders. That's what I was going to start.
I love it.
Anything.
I have so many books that are like Peaky Blinders.
I know, you talk about Peaky Blinders
a lot. Love it.
So I was like, eh. Honestly, every time I'm sick, I always put Grey's Anatomy on because it's like my comfort show, and I watched Addison Shepherd come in and be like, oh, you're the girl that's sleeping with my husband. And I fell asleep, and I was in La La Land. Happiness. You've never watched Grey's Anatomy?
No! Medical shows other than House do not really keep my attention.
House was good. I liked House, too.
I like grumpy people.
I like grumpy people, too. This week, I finally finished A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. Mm-hmm. Finally. That took me forever. And then I'm actually about to start probably our next recording one.
I have the audiobook. I downloaded it on Audible so I can listen to it.
Nice. I keep seeing it all over like my Facebook and everything like that.
So you know how I have the habit of recommending really long books without realizing they're really long books?
Was it long?
I saw this one. I went to VJ's with my mom, which is basically like Costco because we don't have Costco here. But they have good sales on books. So I saw it there and I picked it up. I'm like, oh, you are larger than
we
expected. So I'm doing that still.
That's okay.
I need to look at page counts.
I like chunky books, so it don't bother me.
Yeah.
If anything, I thought about looking it up on Hoopla if I don't have time to sit down and physically read.
It's not. I even had to buy it on Audible, but it was only like $7.50.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I can definitely check it on like Apple. I don't have Audible just because I don't want to have like a monthly subscription, so I just do like iBooks.
I have Audible. I have like their premium thing, but they also have free listens if you do their premium. So that made it a little more worth it to me.
Or like Spotify. I don't really do audiobooks on Spotify either because you only get so many hours. Like,
I don't like that.
The limit does not exist for me. I'm sorry.
She found birds. That gives me hope. She still wants to attack birds.
Yeah, and she's got energy like jumping up here and down, and hopefully she'll start to feel better.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about the third book in the Done and Dusted series, the Rebel Blue Ranch series. So if you guys have not checked these out, check them out. And we are talking about Lost and Lassoed. Yeah. So what were your like hot takes, like just quick takes on this?
I loved it. I did really like it. It was a little rushed to me. Not like bad, but like I wish I wanted more. I think I wanted a longer book for this one. And really like the ending. The ending is what got me. Like you even got texts.
Oh yeah. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Because let's see, 323 pages this book is.
And like they're 2-day reads. One day you read it in a day. I read it in 2 because I'm a little slower. 2-day read for me is probably a 1-day read for normal people. Because like our boy Gus here, I am also dyslexic. I cannot function in a learning environment. I have ADHD and dyslexia. Yep. Sorry to all of my teachers. Some of you really did deserve awards for dealing with me.
Tried. You tried. Yeah, I actually comfort read this yesterday while I was off home from work just because I was trying to like recoup. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to re-listen to this book because I read it and I did the audiobook. And I really liked both of them. I liked the writing and I did really, really like the narrators. And I actually played the last part for Hallie when I came here, but like Lila's Lost, Lassoed, and Lane bit about her dad at the end that was recorded in her voice too, and I really loved that.
I wish you would have told me before I started eyeliner because that was rough.
that really like that deserves 5 stars.
That does,
her like little synopsis to her dad. I love that.
Yeah.
And I liked her dedication. Her dedication. As soon as I read the dedication, I was like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Yep.
So yeah. So let's see. Let's get into like the tropes for this book.
Yeah. So forced proximity.
Definitely you have like the grumpy sunshine, like Nanny Boss kind of situation. Not too much, but more of like the grumpy sunshine.
I like the grumpy. I love grumpy sunshine. That's one of my favorites. I'm in a grumpy sunshine.
I feel like I'm in a grumpy sunshine too.
Sometimes.
Like definitely. Sorry there, babe. Let's see. Also, you have enemies to lovers, which that's a little bit kind of like brought in before because you see them more being enemies in the first 2 books, and you get it maybe like the first 25% of this book of them still kind of being enemies.
Yeah, a good chunk.
Let's see. We also have the best friend's brother because Gus is Emmy's brother.
Yep.
And then obviously Cowboy Romance, because this whole series is a cowboy romance era.
Except we're talking cowboys as in like actually on a ranch, more like rancher, not a country singer. Yeah.
That was a different series I'm thinking of, that there's a country singer one.
There's a few. Is it the Elsie Silver books?
I feel like it's one of the Elsie Silvers.
I haven't read her yet. I plan on it.
I feel like I've read 1 or 2 of her country books, but not all of them. I like them so far, what I've read, but I haven't gotten full. So what was your rating for this book?
5 stars.
5 stars?
5 stars.
I'd say, agree, 5 stars. And I know you don't do spice. I think it was only like, for me, like 3 out of 5 for spice. It had like a couple scenes into it, but nothing like too crazy.
Yeah, I just don't know how to grade spice.
I feel like if it's like really, really like smutty and like really dirty, then I grade it higher.
But is that like exactly? Because like to me, I'd like okay, it's a 5 spicy book because like the entire book is just erotica. This is not a romance book. This is an erotica book. That would be a 5 to me, just for like the sheer amount. But I don't know. I don't know how to grade it, so I don't.
Like the first book that we did for book club, like that to me had like so much more like the erotica drove the plot more, so I feel like I would rate that higher in spice.
That's fair.
Which that book was Promises and Pomegranates.
Yes.
So like that, I don't know. It all depends because again, like what my 5-star rating doesn't mean like your same 5-star rating. Like why we judge things.
Yeah.
And like even it changes per book.
Yeah.
I feel like. Because I feel like it's hard to do, like, autobiographies, do ratings on sometimes, and, like, personal mementos, but, I don't know. so you don't.
We were doing good at the beginning.
I know. So.
We literally our literally 2-week break of not filming fucked us.
It really did. Like our first getting the podcast up and running, we recorded a couple times a week, and we tried to do like double episodes when we recorded too, a couple of them.
I think we still only did one like once a week, but we were doing like 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
So like and it was after work, so we're like we have to get this done.
Rapid fire, get the caffeine in us, and like just rapid fire everything.
I think we had our 2-week break, and now we're like, oh, we're only doing 1 episode. It's okay. But I also think it's just because we want to hang out and talk about books, and like this is our opportunity.
Yep, to sit on a couch, comfy couch with our nice cozy blankets.
Also, thank you, TJ Maxx.
Yes,
this is holiday cowboy. The Santa has a cowboy hat, and there's lassos of Christmas lights and bolo ties with peppermints and belt buckles with cool things and horseshoes and ho ho howdy.
And it's soft, and it really matches my hoodie too here. This thing is like so glittery. This is on a last sale item, but Leveled Up Buffalo. If you guys have never checked them out, save your money, but they have a lot of cute clothes.
They do.
They have so many cute clothes.
This just matches my soul.
Yeah, I mean, it matches the aesthetic and our theme, but I like it. And it's nice and big. We both can get under this one sometimes.
It's a queen size blanket.
I love holiday blankets.
I do too.
I'm gonna have to get my Christmas ones out soon.
Yes.
Soon. All right. So do you want to do the brief synopsis of all there, or do you want me to do a brief synopsis?
I can do it.
All right.
I can do it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. So, brief synopsis with no spoilers. If you've read the first 2, you already know Gus and Teddy don't really get along. They're kind of always at each other's throats. They're always bickering. We do find out a little backstory as to why, and then we also find out that Gus may not be doing as great balancing being a full-time dad for the summer and the ranch because Cam is away doing her thing for her bar exam, and Teddy loses her job, kind of sad, really upset about that. But altogether, Teddy ends up moving in to be the nanny, and everything kind of just goes from there. Like, they have a very sweet story. You still do get them like bickering if you like their little shots at each other. It's amusing to me. But happy ending. You get a little more about the side characters. You find out more about Dusty. You find out more about Cam. You find out a lot more about Hank, and we love Hank, and Amos. You get a little bit more with Emmy and like her actual relationship with Teddy from not her perspective, which was a nice
change, like seeing it from both angles of that. And
you find out a little bit about Wes and Ada. I think they weren't as heavy in this book.
No.
Which it's not a bad thing.
Ada was a little bit because Teddy and Ada were friends from college.
Yeah.
So like you see a couple moments between them, but really not too much with it.
Yeah. But like it was, I felt like it was a very nice book. And like, I don't want to say like coming of age, but it was like, it very much so was like Teddy feeling out of pace with everybody else in her life. Like feeling a little bit behind, which I think everybody can relate to in some way.
I definitely feel like that. And especially like, say us, I feel like we're around the same age that Teddy is in this book. So I know over the last few years, I've kind of felt that way of like, not that I'm not married, but like, I also felt like I was going to have kids by this age. So like, I get that of like kind of comparing yourself to other people and like where people are at in life.
I am not married, nor do I have children. This is weird to me. Not really.
No?
No, I don't know. I don't know how I'm 27 years old. I don't understand that. Like, truthfully, every day I'm just like, I'm close to 30, and then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like 18. What are you talking about?
They're like, oh, is it your 25th birthday? I was like, you're my favorite employee of the day. Thank you. Not that I'm much older. I'm 28, but I was like, thank you, sir.
Yeah. No, I like, there are some days where it hits me. I'm like, I'm close to 30. I'm like, I don't really know how to process this. Like,
we're almost as old as like Google, I think. Or we're older than Google, one of the two.
We're older than Google.
Yeah, we're older than Google. Yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy that there's like people like I'm in charge of people who are born in the 2000s. Like,
yeah, no, that it fucks me up that they could drink because I'm like, you are a toddler. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'll be out at the bar and I like talk to my bouncer friend. I'm like, is that kid even old enough to drink? He's like,
they
yeah,
look so
young.
I feel bad saying they look young while I'm sitting here like this.
We are youthful.
I'm just small. That's the only reason I look so young.
You have good skin though too.
Yeah, I don't do much for it.
Lucky.
Yeah.
My skin is trash.
I'm gonna say diet. More red meat. I know you don't eat meat in general, but like,
can you like prescribe a different kind of meat? I'll eat chicken over
listen,
meat.
People are trying to get beef tallow as a skincare routine and not just back in food.
I know. I've seen that. So I follow this one girl from my hometown. She makes like soap.
Yep.
And she's doing like cow tallow.
Beef tallow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, not bad, but I don't want to rub lard all over me.
It's rendered. It's not greasy.
In my brain, it's greasy.
Okay.
And as soon as I think grease. It's kind of like the Clementine thing when we were talking about, and we were talking about the Flash. And yeah.
I will say this. Your body does need healthy fats. Mm-hmm. Fats and carbs are not the enemy.
Moderation. In moderation.
Clean foods that aren't full of chemicals you cannot even pronounce. Not good for you. You should be able to pronounce what's in your food.
And at least know what it is. Yeah. For the most part. This tea is very good, by the way.
Yes. So today's tea is the Celestial honey vanilla chamomile tea. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
This is very good. And I like chamomile tea too when I'm like sick. It helps my throat. And like, this chamomile tea tastes really, really good.
I just like chamomile tea in general.
Yeah. I feel like I only drink it when I'm sick. So like when I taste it, I'm like, clear my sinuses.
Yeah. If you really want to clear your sinuses, do some peppermint.
Peppermint? Yeah. Like peppermint tea or like?
Yep, peppermint tea.
I don't have peppermint tea. I could have got peppermint earlier, but I did not.
Hi.
All right, so from here on forward, it will have spoilers. So listen at your own risk. Proceed at your own caution. If you have not read this yet, save this video and come back later and watch it then. And my other promo, if you guys have not liked and followed us on Instagram and on YouTube, please do that. If you guys can like this video, that really helps us, and share to your friends too. And we will link all of our socials in the description, and we will also link Lyla Sage, who is the author of Lost and Lassoed, in this description. And I will also put the link to pre-order the 4th book.
Yes.
I can't think of what it's called. Something No, it's not Wrangled. Maybe it is. I don't think it's.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I will pre-link that into the description as well. I feel like it starts with a W. I just couldn't say what it is.
It is Wrangled something, but I can't remember.
Wild and Wrangled.
Yes. Super pumped for that one.
I want to know where she comes up with some of her titles.
Why?
Well, like, I feel like, I don't remember if it was in the 1st or 2nd book. I feel like one of them kind of referenced the title into it, like how she came up with them. I just think they're unique. I just wonder how she comes up with each of them.
So the first one, it explains that it is an actual, like, barrel racing term, like, horse riding term. The second one,
Swift and Saddled. Yeah.
Swift and Saddled. That one to me, I think, is just because, like, again, they kind of got right into it. It was pretty swift. So
saddled right up.
Alliteration.
Yeah.
Teddy feeling lost. Also, I love redheads. We stands redheads here.
Yes. Our redheaded girlies.
I have so many redheaded friends. I don't know anybody else with this many redheaded friends.
Literally, I'm like, I think I know 2 redheaded friends. And I don't even know if Lindsay I consider redheaded right now.
Lindsay?
Yeah, Lindsay.
No, she's brunette.
She has, like, her mom's is like a strawberry blonde red hair. But she dyes it a lot. But you're like the only redhead that I have.
Chelsea, my sister-in-law, is also a redhead.
She is very Teddy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He is very Teddy energy.
Reading this book, I'm like, oh, it's Nick and Chelsea.
Literally, like, the one part, we'll get to it, like, of the flashback, I was like, this is Nick and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Straight up Nick and Chelsea was all I thought of it. So we start off this book, and we're at the Devil's Boot, because...
We always start out at the Devil's... We literally always start out at the Devil's Boot.
Oh my god, it's kind of like when we always start out at the Spring Court. We're always at the Devil's Boot to begin with.
We always start at the Devil's Boot. Literally. I just realized that.
Do you think
mine broke it?
We'll
start at the Devil's Boot.
Because he was getting a drink.
We can't talk about it right now.
Okay.
We have to get to that part.
We're going to theorize on that when we get there.
Because they have to hear my anger.
So we're at the booty.
I can't. Don't say that.
We're at the Devil's Boot, and Brooks is trying to do a remodel because he wants to open the upstairs for an upstairs bar, and he also wants to put a bull riding
his mechanical bull. Yeah, it's a dream of his to have a mechanical bull.
So Teddy, of course, is over because she's there to help Emmy, and obviously Gus is Brooks' best friend, so he shows up as well. And you kind of see in this beginning chapter still that, like, bickering, the tension between the two of them of not wanting to be around each other.
And you find out, too, that, like, Emmy is trying to push them to be in situations around each other because they are maid of honor and best man for the wedding. Mm-hmm. And she just wants them to be able to get along for the wedding.
And be able to, like, not kill each other walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
So they're on separate floors because they're each working with their best friends. And Teddy has to bring some newspapers down to the basement. And she accidentally gets locked into a closet with Gus.
Well, because she's afraid that there are demons in the basement.
And she was trying to hide and avoid Gus, and Gus went into the closet to avoid Teddy. So it's just a...
But Teddy tragically rips a very special jacket to her.
Very special, on, like, the handle for it.
Yeah.
And they kind of fight in the closet. They do eventually get out because Brooks hears them and kind of laughs and chuckles on the other side and eventually lets them out.
You know, for somebody who was so secretive in his book about his romance, he really likes to just walk in on other people's...
And he's the town gossip.
He is.
He's literally the town gossip.
He's so bad.
So they kind of part ways, and we move to see Teddy kind of losing her job is what happens next. Because she works at a boutique, and the owner is ending up re-franchising and selling the boutique. So, because she seems like she's kind of older and just wants to relax in her later life. But Teddy sells her own clothes there, and she's also kind of seems like pretty much like the store manager. And she does everything for the owner. She's like the silent owner in a sense. Like,
yeah, she does like all the marketing and everything too.
And the owner does feel bad about this. Like, you can tell like she really cares about Teddy, and I feel like maybe that was like the maternal mother that Teddy never had maybe in her life, because she didn't really get to meet Emmy's mom.
I don't know, because like they say that like Teddy didn't even know her until like she didn't go to the store or anything or work there until after college. So like I almost feel like Dusty's mom could have like also been that role.
Yep, Aggie, I could see that
because like when we find out later that like Hank and Dusty's mom kind of have a little something going on, which I thought is cute. And like we do find out like Teddy does know Dusty very well. Like they grew up around each other. They basically grew up like siblings. So that was kind of like a nice connection we also got in this book, because like they brought Dusty in last book, but we all we knew was that he like worked with the guys and like went to school with all of them, and we're like,
and played their stupid drinking game.
Yeah.
Their lasso game.
Yeah.
Then we kind of go to Gus.
Yes.
Next.
And we do find out Cam isn't there. Cam is in Jackson Hole doing basically like an internship training program thing for her bar exam, because we do find out she did fail that first bar exam, which kind of heartbreaking for her. But we do find out Gus is taking Riley full time for the summer, so Cam can take this opportunity. Cam's fiance is with her.
Greg.
Whatever his name is. Relevant man. Irrelevant. I'm mad. I don't want to talk about him yet.
We're not to his part yet. We get there. So Gus is kind of doing it all that Cam is out of town. And like they have a very good friendship for their child. Like they never really wanted to push more of a relationship. It does talk at one point in time in the book how they kind of like messed around a little bit after Riley was born, which is kind of understandable. Like they were both lonely, but realized like they were better as friends.
Yes.
So Gus is out on the ranch working because, again, he's in line to get the ranch one day, and he gets a call that soccer practice is over and he needs to come pick up Riley, and it's been over for a while.
And he tries to call Emmy to get Emmy to do it. Emmy and Brooks are like out half an hour outside of town even. And I really like think Gus truly did leave it off of like it's just on Emmy's shoulders now. So Emmy does what Emmy does and calls Teddy when she needs help. And so Teddy was leaving work anyway, and she's like, yeah, no problem, I'll go get Riley. So she goes to grab Riley. This soccer coach woman gives Teddy a pretty hard time about picking up Riley, which like I do understand you can't just pick up somebody else's kid. But like this woman goes to the extent of like says she's going to call Gus, and then Teddy's like, well, Gus is riding back from the ranch. He's not going to answer your call. Like, duh, that's why I'm here. But she calls Cam, and like Cam kind of lays into her, which I loved, because she's like, Teddy's always been on the list. Why are you even freaking calling me? Like, stop being weird.
Like, is that all you wanted?
Yeah. And I loved that. I love Cam. I think Cam's going to become like a favorite.
Yes, I like Cam a lot.
Yeah.
And like Riley, you see Teddy and Riley's like friendship already from the get-go, because she's known her since she's been a baby, because obviously she's kind of like the sixth wheel in the family, fifth, sixth wheel, whatever number it is. But so then Teddy takes Riley home and kind of gets her set up, makes her some dinner. There's not a lot of food in the house. The house is a little bit of a mess. Again, just because Gus is really overextending himself, just trying to do it all. And they have kind of a little disagreement onto the porch, I would say.
It starts off with a disagreement, but we do... So, like, they have the little spat, but the other thing we find out is, like, Gus is not a messy person. This is not, like, a bachelor pad house. He keeps his house very clean. He's very organized normally. And that's why everybody was kind of, like, taken aback that there's not a lot of food, that the house is messy, because that's not normal. Like, even Teddy, who has not been to his house often, knows that is not how Gus operates. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like a warning flag. Like, forgetting his daughter and the house being dirty, it's like, oh, like, something's going on here. And then they have their conversation where, like, it starts out with just them, like, bickering like they do, and then Gus, like, opening up and being like, I feel like I'm failing, like, I'm not a good dad, and, like, I can't handle it all, and he feels guilt, and, like, it kind of goes into, like, his relationship with his siblings, too, because he's like, so, like, he was saying how he hasn't been over to Wes, and, like, Teddy kind of, like, chimes in, she's like, that's Wes's thing, like, you don't have to. He hasn't asked for help. Like, your brother would ask you if he needs you to. And Teddy, and like, Gus is like, well, this is all gonna be mine someday. I need to know. Which, like, that's a lot to have on your shoulders on top of everything else. Mm-hmm. So we do see, like, a moment of Teddy truly, like, comforting Gus and just rubbing his back and, like, being like, you're a good dad. Like, you are a good dad.
And she, like, apologizes to him because she kind of, like, throws it in his face that he forgets Riley at practice. And that makes him kind of feel worse about himself. And I think there's, like, part she's like, I have to apologize to my arch nemesis of this. And, like, at least seeing them kind of starting to be more coexistent and nicer to each other. Not, like, really liking each other, but at least, like, nicer to one another.
And again, I think it really was, like, just both people, like, taking out their bad day on each other. Mm-hmm. Like, Gus did not have a good day, and, like, Teddy just found out she's not gonna have a job. So, like, neither one of them had a great day. They're already at each other's throats. So, like, it's believable.
Yep. Yeah. And then the next morning, we're at the big house because it's family breakfast, and everyone's there, and Gus and Riley show up later than everyone. So they're already running a little bit late. But Riley wanted to kind of get in bed and read to Gus, and he didn't know how much longer that's going to happen. But it seems like in that time, the families kind of talked with one another about Gus taking on too much for himself and what they can do to try to help him. And to a point that, like, Amos actually raises his voice at Gus at the breakfast table and kind of, like, tells him, like, you can't do it all. Did you approve payroll? Like, people depend on us for their jobs. Like, you need to either get some help or I'm going to take some responsibilities away from you at Rebel Blue.
And, like, the other thing that really got, like, Amos, where he's not abrasive.
Mm-mm.
But the other thing was, what was proposed at this breakfast was that Teddy be the one to come in and essentially be Riley's nanny and help on the days that Cam would have normally had Riley. So that Gus can focus on the duties for the ranch at that point, which, like, there were two things I liked about that conversation. I liked that Ada excused herself.
Yep.
Which that to me was very respectful, because, like, obviously they all like Ada, but that is not Ada's place yet. Ada has not been married to Wes yet. It's not her place to get involved in somebody else's parenting.
Yeah.
Which I respected that. And then the other thing was, Amos did not really, like, say anything until Amos didn't really, like, not lose his temper, but really lay down the law until Gus just started, like, insulting Teddy and, like, literally said, I don't want my daughter around her. And that, I can see why that bothered Amos that much, because Amos did treat Teddy as a daughter in a lot of ways, too. Amos is very good friends with Hank. Hank was his right-hand man for a lot of years. And I think there is a little bit of guilt that Hank got hurt at the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he took care of them out of guilt. He had lost his wife at the point, because, like, we find out Teddy's backstory more, too, of that Hank remembered this ranch from touring and he remembered the cowboy. I love how they described Amos as a cowboy back when, in, like, this big black coat with the black hat and the black boots on a black horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. That's just such an image. And, like, Hank just, like, comes back, Teddy gets dropped off at, like, 2 months to Hank while he's on tour, and Hank just packs up his drums and drives back to this little small town and just asks for this cowboy in all black and shows up in his driveway with this little 2-month-old baby girl. Meanwhile, Amos had just lost his wife, has a girl of his own, only a couple months older, I think, than Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which is older, but they're very close in age. And to, like, have hit, like, Hank just shows up and says, hey, I need a job. You got one for me? And Amos just, like, ride or die, does not even know this guy from Adam, really.
Nope.
And just says, yeah, come on in. And, like, Emmy and Teddy grow up together. Like, they all grew up on River Blue. So I think to hear Gus say, I don't want my daughter like this person, to Amos, that was an insult. Because, like, that is another person, as much as, like, Hank was an amazing father, but that is, like, a very close uncle. That is
family.
Yeah. So, like, to hear your son say, I don't want them like this person, who Amos knows is a good person, is just more outspoken than his kids, maybe. Not even really, but
not really. No. His daughter's just as outspoken.
Exactly. But it's like, I can understand why Amos is like, you're not saying that at my table. Yep. You're not saying that in my house.
And he completely, like, shuts it down right away for it and kind of, like, forces him, like, you're either going to let her help or...
I'm not going to let you do as much at the ranch.
Yep. So then Teddy and Gus kind of meet up and they both agree to the babysitting situation. And Teddy moves into Gus's house because it's easier for her to kind of take care of Riley, and then she can go home on the weekends because he just really wants to help during the week and he wants to be able to spend the weekends with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So they move in and it seems like everything's kind of going okay. They're still, like, bickering with one another, of, like, that kind of, like, cute banter that we all love with an enemies to lovers kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But at night is kind of when we start to see those more tender moments start to develop between the two adults, because they're just kind of, like, sitting and talking about their day and things like that. That's about her there, Bean.
Sorry, Bean. Hey, we are nice to our friends. I'm glad you're perked up, but this is not the way. Violence is not the answer.
I'll let you bite me a little bit because you're feeling better. But,
Darling. Darling. That's not Mom. You can't be rough. I am just scruffing her. Please don't get mad at me. She's very spoiled.
Yes, very spoiled.
I called the vet like 3 times. I haven't taken her to the office, but I was on the phone with them, and I got her special like digestive stuff for her tummy. She's okay, I promise.
She's feeling better. And like we find out Gus likes to fold laundry. That's like something comforting and relaxing.
Foreign to me.
I hate
completely
folding laundry.
foreign.
I hate it. I literally folded 2 full baskets of laundry yesterday. Because I'll wait until another basket needs to go downstairs to fold the basket.
Good Cappy.
It's been up in my room for a while. But I like that like at night moment because it's kind of like 2 parents settling down for the night and just like having that like adult bonding relationship.
Yes.
So I like seeing that like starting for them at this point. And then we go to the diner.
Mm-hmm.
So at the diner, Teddy and Dusty end up going with each other because Teddy's just kind of questioning what she's doing with her life, where she's at, and Dusty's kind of in a similar boat. So they meet up to go to the diner. And lo and behold, when they walk in, Gus and Nicole, who is the soccer mom, are there as well. And Teddy just has a very flirty personality in general. She doesn't like intentionally flirt with people all the time, but so we're at the diner and Teddy isn't like flirting with Dusty. She's just her flirtatious kind of personality where she's touching his arm a little bit. She touches the A on his neck and like something on his face at one point in time, but they're
sitting on the same side of the booth because they got put in the shitty booth that has a broken seat.
Yep.
So
it's even looking more coupley.
Yeah.
To them. And Gus is kind of like watching across the way.
And Riley just comes in. I love Riley.
Love Riley. Love a little sunshine there.
Yeah, she just like bounces right up to Teddy and Dusty. She's like, "Hi, I'm here. Pay attention to me now."
And eventually she does go back to her table.
Yeah.
With Gus. Because we get both points of views in this chapter. We get Teddy's where she's just kind of like talking to Dusty and like, hey, if we're not married by 40, can we get married?
And Dusty's like, you'll be fine, like, shut up.
And he's like, 40 is like super young. And also, since we haven't talked about it, Gus is 8 years older than Teddy. So he's 36. So I feel like that was another reason why I'm like, oh, 40 is young. Like,
yeah.
Because Gus is getting close to it.
Yeah, so Dusty's probably up like by Gus and Brooks, I believe.
Yeah, because I want to say he's probably like 35. Yeah. Well, no, because him and Cam were together. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I think he's in his 30s too then.
I think so too. I think he's older at least than the 2 girls. And then Teddy also gets a little bit jealous at this point too.
Of Nicole being there.
Yeah, seeing Gus and Nicole kind of on, not a date, because Gus didn't want to be at dinner with her.
Yeah, she just tagged along. Like, she was not invited. Like, I think Gus just, like maybe Riley let it slip of, like, oh, we get to go have, like, milkshakes today, because that's, like, their routine. And this woman just shows up at the diner, with, like, follows them, parks, and then comes into the diner and sits down with them. And then, like, the other thing I give Gus props for is, like, when she comments that Riley has, like, this sugar-packed milkshake. Mm-hmm. And Gus is like, I don't teach my daughter good foods or bad foods. She just eats.
Food is food.
Like, is this a treat? Yes, she knows it's a treat. But, like, I'm not making a food bad or good. But yeah, no, like, props to Gus for, like, even just, like, explaining his parenting and being like, me and Cam don't do that. Like, you, please, like, do not say that to my daughter.
Yep. Then we kind of go to, like, a little bit more in, like, Teddy and Riley's, like, days together for it. And we find out that there's this book that Hank bought years ago about flowers out in the Rocky Mountains. And Teddy kind of found it and was interested in it. And Riley wants to help kind of find all these flowers. So that's their new summer project together while they're babysitting.
Yes, which is cute. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see a few more scenes of, like, Teddy and Gus at night. And, like, the one scene that we do, like, so there's one thing we find out under the table at the big house, there is, like, a little engraving under it because Dusty's mom made the table for Amos and Scarlett, their mom, and it said, like, Amos and Scarlett forever or something like that.
Like a story, like, not
a story,
like, kind of like a tale as old as time.
Basically, like, type thing. And, like, that's where we kind of hear that he's dyslexic. He used to sit under there and just stare at the words until they made sense to him. So we see him come in to that one night with Teddy carrying Riley's picture books.
Mm-hmm.
And what he does is he reads through the books a few times on his own to be able to read them out loud to her. And like all we hear is like Teddy like take a shot at him reading children's books, but we don't hear his explanation. He never says like, well, I'm dyslexic, I'm just making sure I can read to my daughter. He kind of just lets it like whatever.
And it's his inner monologue.
Yeah.
And not like actually like communicating that.
No. But like, I don't know. I like their little nightly things. Mm-hmm. It's cute.
Yeah, like they're like little night bonding.
Yeah.
And then the next time they kind of bond is when Teddy comes over to watch Riley for one of the nights that she's supposed to, and Riley's not there, but Teddy has her period. And she's in so much pain, which, relatable, girl.
Yep.
And Gus immediately gets her settled onto the couch, gets a heating pad for her, gets Midol, because he's had a sister and he kind of knows, like,
yeah,
this is what you need to take care of her. And it's so weird for Teddy because Teddy's always the one taking care of her dad and taking care of other people. And that's something they both similarly share. Like, they're so used to taking care of everyone around them, but no one's ever there to actually take care of the two of those two.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up watching a movie.
School of Rock. Solid movie.
And Gus Teddy's care. I said that so fucked up. Gus carries Teddy upstairs to bed after that because she falls asleep onto the couch.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than where you were. Because I'm like, Gus Teddy care? What?
English is not English either. So he carries her upstairs, and this is, I feel like, the diner was the starting of a turning point, but I really feel like that night was like the big turn in their relationship of seeing each other for who they are, not like who they've always thought the other one was.
Yeah. And like, we're giving you guys a broad overview. There is tension building in this book, and like every chapter we're hearing them like thinking of the other one more and more than they normally would have, and like kind of acknowledging like, why am I thinking about this person so much? So like, we are broad strokes here. We're not going into the spice, we're not going into all of the tension building, but if you like tension building, phenomenal.
Yes, this is it.
Phenomenal.
This is it.
So they watch School of Rock. I'm trying to read your notes because like I should have written these down too. Watching Riley sleep. Oh yeah, so that was cute. They go in and they check on Riley and they're watching her sleep a little bit, and like Gus is like, oh, she actually like really cares for my kid. This is attractive. This is cool. I like this.
I like this. I want more of this.
Yeah, and like I think he has the realization of like, this is family. Like this is a family unit.
Like, this is what it's supposed to kind of feel like. Of, like, sneaking into your daughter's room. Like, how much love Teddy has for his daughter as well. Like,
yes.
A big turn on for him.
Because, like, again, we're broad strokes, so we're leaving out, like, the breakfasts they all have together. Yeah. Like, they sit and have breakfast together. Like, they bicker, but they also get along very, like, pretty good. But we also find out, like, why they don't kiss and why, because like it starts getting a little hot and heavy, and then Teddy like it's basically going that they're gonna hook up, like they're just gonna go for it, and then Teddy says, well, you're not gonna kiss me on the lips, and then Gus is like, what do you mean I'm not gonna kiss you on, like, what? And it stops it there, and we find out that the reason is because 7 years ago Teddy was putting a guy in his place. This reminds me so much of Chelsea.
This
like,
is I
100% see this being Chelsea. But like,
and your brother, like, literally, like, coming in, like,
oh, my brother doesn't come in. No? Nick just lets it happen. Because if the only time my brother would really get involved is like if he thinks he could be like, oh, I this thing on my hip, it's really hot today.
See, if not, like, I get the line that he says to her, though. He's like, yeah, you can't fight grown men that look like they eat raw eggs for breakfast because they'll be embarrassed when you beat them.
Yeah.
That gives me your brother vibes.
Oh, yeah. Nick would be hyping up. Nick would just be like, all right, I guess I have to support my honey right now.
Yeah.
Honey is a thing.
Which Chelsea is a badass queen. We love her.
We love her.
She is a girl's girl. She has any
through
girl's
and
back.
Through.
Even if you don't know her, she will always have your back and protect you.
Yep. Anybody who's ever encountered Chelsea knows. Knows. But so I literally, it felt like I was reading like a Dick and Chelsea story at this part. But so there's this bar fight happening. Teddy's putting this guy in his place. Like Gus sees her puff her chest up, and like having watched a woman do this, I can like there is a moment, and you're just like, oh, she's about to swing on this man. I have broken up this situation myself.
He's like, all right, I'll be right back. Let me go take care of this.
Well, the thing is, when I broke it up myself, I was standing next to my brother, and I literally said, I'm like, you see this? And he's like, she's got it. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to go do something about it.
Like, I guess I'll step
like,
in.
You're not. All right. So, but it just felt so authentic, and like reading that, I'm like, I relate so heavy to this.
And I like this. So, like, Gus goes and, like, tries to save her, which she don't need saving, but he pulls her out of the bar and trying to calm her down, and they end up having like a hot makeout outside.
Yes, and people stumble out, and it kind of kills it. And it was like very much cold water on the situation where like I think Teddy was like, oh, it's like finally happening. Like, okay, I feel a connection. I have felt a connection. We both kind of took it the wrong way. We took it as like a hate connection rather than a love connection. But like Gus just turned around and like literally said, we are never talking about this again.
Yep, forget this ever happened.
Douchebag thing to do.
Douchebag. Sorry, Gus, I love you.
Granted, men don't know how to process their feelings, but douchebag thing to do.
Like, too, I think we get a little bit of Gus in that chapter, too, where he's just like, I just kissed my sister's best friend. Like, I can't do that. So he's feeling guilty, which is understandable.
And it was because he thought he was going to make it weird. And he didn't want to do that to them either. So,
like, Emmy never knew.
No,
and
nobody knew.
Know.
I don't even think Brooks knew at that point. No,
no one knows.
Because Jimmy still owned the bar. Brooks didn't even own the bar yet.
He was too busy having the girl hang on him watching his dad drink.
Yeah.
Because Brooks was there.
Self-loathing, yeah.
Yep. So then we flash back into normal time, modern time. And it's the next morning after she said, like, you can't kiss me on the lips. And she comes in for coffee, and he really, really wants to kiss her. So she agrees. And they have, like, another very passionate, lovable kiss. Like, it was just as good as their first kiss. Because Gus was like, I didn't think the first kiss was that good. But the second kiss was just as good as the first. And then Gus goes to work.
Well, they kind of have a little talk. And, like, I think they both thought, like, okay, this is real. Like, we're doing this now.
And we're not going to run. That was the other thing, too, of, like, we agreed, like, this is really going to happen this time.
Yeah.
So Gus goes to work. And the vet's coming to check up on all of the horses for the day. Well, meanwhile, we didn't mention it before, but Teddy and Gus used to have...
Not Teddy and Gus, Teddy and the vet.
Teddy and the vet used to have like a little friends with benefits kind of thing going on. But Gus doesn't know this at this time.
No.
So the vet shows up, and he's working on some of the horses, and then Teddy shows up with Riley. And she ends up taking her horse, who's like a more older
her
senior.
Dad's horse.
Yeah, her dad's horse. Like an older senior horse who needs like a lot of extra love and attention. And she starts kind of talking to the vet. And kind of like what we said before, like her personality is a very flirtatious type of personality. So she's not, I don't want to say like blatantly, but is blatantly like flirting with the vet.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, but it's not going to go anywhere. She's just doing it so that
she only knows that, though. She, like, it's not even, like, it, as a man watching that situation, so, like, I don't know, I have enough male, family members and stuff that, like, if you don't tell them, like, I'm flirting with this guy to get this, and, like, there are even some men who would not be okay with that, but it wasn't put out there, so, like, Gus is like, you just fucking, like, blew my mind with this kiss, and, like, I thought we were on the same page, and you're fucking flirting with another man in front of me on my ranch? Are you fucking kidding? Which, like, I'm not mad.
I'm not mad.
It's a normal reaction.
Yeah. And then this is kind of, though, where we first start to see, like, Emmy and Gus kind of talk about the change in their relationship with Teddy and Gus, because he kind of is like, oh, what's that situation? And I mean, he's like, oh yeah, they used to be friends with benefits or whatever. And he says, like, you can do better. She can do better.
Yeah.
So then Gus kind of ignores her for a little bit, and they do like he does the little grunts and everything and kind of doesn't want to talk to her until Teddy confronts him and is like, we said we weren't going to run. Like,
and you're giving me like a silent treat, like a brush off now. So like, what the fuck?
And so they kind of fight a little bit about it, but like talk about those feelings for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up making out.
Again.
And that leads to going upstairs and being intimate. And they end up being intimate and then falling asleep with one another.
Yes. Very sweet.
And my poor guy, Gus, gets woken up in the middle of the night by a phone call from his dad. This is where
this is a really hard part. So Gus answers the phone and it's Amos, and Amos basically says like, hey, be calm. I'm at the hospital with Hank. He had a heart attack. Dusty's mom was with him and got him help right away. But you need to get Teddy here. Like, she needs to get here right now. So Gus has to wake up Teddy and now and he's freaking out about having to tell her this. Like, his heart dropped. He knows it's going to break her heart. So he does. He wakes up Teddy, and like, before she even thinks, he's like, I've already called Wes. Wes is going to come watch Riley. I'm going to drive you. Like, get dressed. I will drive you. You're fine. So Wes gets there, and like, Wes is also noting, like, obviously we don't think, like, Gus is not a bad person. He would not have been bad to Teddy, if they were not sleeping together in this situation. I don't think that's how Gus would be. But like, even Wes kind of like, oh, like, you only came out of your room. Like, okay. But like, Wes is also like, as long as like you guys are okay, like, Dad's there with her, I will stay with Riley however long you need me to. Don't worry about it. So they go to the hospital, and like, just the way they describe seeing Hank at that hospital bed, like, I was texting Alicia and I literally said, I'm like, I will boycott if they hurt Hank. If anything bad happens to Hank, I'm done.
I was already crying as soon as I read it.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't
I couldn't deal with it. I was having a little PTSD to like my stepdad when he had his heart attack, and like, I know seeing that larger than life man in that hospital bed fucks with your head.
And I thought that was such a good description, though, of like how she talked about, like, I think that's any person, like, you see your parent get injured, or like someone that you just like really look up to, whether it's like a sibling or like a really close friend, and you see them in really hurt and in the hospital. Like, it's hard processing that.
And like, even like, just the way they have described Hank, where like, yes, Hank is in a wheelchair, but we never see a pitying side to how they all perceive. Like, they all acknowledge like Hank is still a badass. Like, and like, all I could think of was like my stepdad or like my grandfather when my grandfather was on his deathbed, and like my stepfather had a heart attack previously, and like, it literally took me back to those two times, and it was like, I don't want to see that ever again. Wood somewhere. This is not wood, but I'm treating it as like wood. But like, yeah, no, it is hard. And like, even like how they described like his hair was not braided how it normally is, his beard was not braided how it normally was, and it's just like, that is so jarring and like so real. And like, I was crying. I'm sitting here crying. Beans licking my little tears off my face.
Meanwhile, I'm just trying to tell her, I was like, we're not okay with it. We're just not okay with it. But like, just keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Yeah, but then like, we saw like Teddy went in and was with her dad, and Gus stayed all night with her and Amos. And Amos kind of even said, he's like, you can go home now. And Gus like, no, I'm going to stick around.
Nope, I'm going to stay with her.
Yeah. And like, props. And then Emmy showed up, and like, Emmy's like, I'm here now. You can go too. And he's like, no.
But he does end up going.
Yes.
He takes Teddy with him, and they go home so he can kind of take care of her. He brings her into his room where they kind of shower, and they go to sleep for a little bit because, again, they were like,
they stayed at the hospital all night.
Yep. So they go back to sleep for a little bit and then kind of get up. We're like, Hank is in the hospital for a couple days, but Hank is able to come home. He just can't eat anything that he wants to eat.
Yeah. makes them grumpy. having been around somebody after like the recovery from a heart attack they're grumpy.
He's like, can I have a chicken fried steak? No.
Yeah. And we see like a nice family dinner with Dusty and his mom when they come to visit Hank, and just like, again, it's a very good book to like emphasize community. Like it really does very well.
Family.
Yep. Yeah. But we also do, so we know from the beginning of the book, we left this out, Teddy's washing machine's broke.
Yes.
She can't do laundry at her house. And like Gus had been letting her do laundry at his house, whatever. But she's basically staying with Hank as much as Hank will let her, because Hank is still like, leave me the fuck alone, you're annoying me now.
Like, it's okay, you can be an adult and not.
Yeah, like I'm not an infant, go do shit, leave me alone.
Another thing we forgot to mention too that's broke is Teddy's sewing machine.
Yes. So that was a big thing.
That's a big. So the sewing machine's broke, the washing machine's broke.
Yeah, but Gus decides like, hey, I'm gonna come over and like hang out with you. And Riley made Hank this adorable little card, but she also kind of threw in Gus and Teddy holding hands. So again, kids are sponges. Kids know everything. So like, oh, that's a fun addition to this little card.
And of course she shows Cam this card at first.
Yes, because Cam comes home.
No, this is on video chat first.
Oh yeah, on video chat.
And she like zooms in on the handset. Like,
yes, she's like, I'm pretty sure she took a screenshot. Like, let's be real, girl knows.
She's like looking at Gus over like Riley's shoulder, like,
Oh, and not in a jealous way, just being like, information.
Like, are you gonna talk about this? Or like you holding on?
Like, buddy, we got tea. We have a little tea party later.
Yeah, come on, spill it.
But they go and see Hank, and like it is a really touching spot. Like Gus fixes their washing machine for them. Riley's getting drum lessons from Hank out in the garage, and like Riley's kind of like, oh, does Teddy know how to play the drums, Hank? Like, you used to play the drums. And like we find out, like, Hank is just a talented musician. You can put any instrument in his hands and he can go. He can't really drum anymore, but he's like shredding guitar. And like I love the song. But yeah, no, so like we got like Hank's teaching, and like Riley's like, oh, does Teddy play? And so it's they literally acknowledge, like Gus acknowledges, this is a core memory. This is something he is going to remember at every big stage of Riley's life is Hank shredding the guitar, Teddy playing the drums, and him and his daughter dancing in the garage.
It makes me like want to cry. Like,
it really does. It's so, because like he even says, like, at her graduation when he's teaching her to drive, at her wedding, like it's gonna be in his head, and like that was so
wholesome,
touching. And like we also find out, like, Teddy uses art a lot to process her feelings, whether it be like sketching, designing clothes. Like, she used to write on the walls, and Hank's like, hey, we can't write on the walls inside anymore.
She write on the couch and everything.
Yeah, we can't do that anymore. But I'll give you the garage wall, and you can do whatever you want on the back of the garage. So Teddy's out getting set up to do that because she needs to process these feelings she's having for Gus. Like, there's a lot going on. She's kind of also thinking about her and Emmy's relationship, where she is feeling that it's a little one-sided, that Emmy moved on and does not need her as much as she needs Emmy. Like, she is going through big changes in her life, and it's like her friend is just absent and not there, which, valid feelings.
And like, she's also like, she was at Emmy's house, and like Emmy was hanging up a bunch of pictures of her and Brooks. Yeah. And the only pictures that Teddy has is Emmy and Teddy. Yeah. So it really started making her think, like, I'm not her number one anymore. She doesn't need to come to me for everything. Like, I need to go to her for everything. Yeah. So she's starting to kind of try to process that relationship, trying to process, like, what she really wants. And she's also, like, she still knows it's her best friend's brother. Like, she hasn't talked to her about it, so that's kind of in the back of her mind. And she knows, like, the summer is coming to an end. She's not going to be Riley's nanny. She has to figure out a career move. So there's a lot up in the air in Teddy's life, and Emmy waltzes in as she's doing this. And, like, Teddy addresses being with Gus at this point. And it wasn't like asking permission. She's just like, this is what I'm doing. I want to be with your brother. Yeah, because like she found the hickey on her neck. Yeah, so like this is what's happening. And Emmy kind of brushes it off like it's a phase or something. And kind of like, I don't want to say
belittles
like,
it.
Yeah, belittles it, and like belittles Teddy, and like saying like, not in the sense like my brother's not a pit stop, but like, what happens if you guys don't work out? Like, what is it going to be for me? Like, what is my relationship with my brother going to be like, and with my best friend going to be like? And like, did you really think this through?
Yeah. And like, at that point, I do not blame Teddy at all, but she loses her temper and she's like, Emmy, this is how I feel about us right now. You're not being a best friend to me. You are not here for me. I have been going through all of this shit and you barely have checked in. So like, who are you to speak on this right now?
And also they kind of talk about too of like how everyone always relies on Gus, but like, who does he have to rely on? And like, why? And it's the same for her. Like, who do they have to depend on for it? And like, why is that okay?
And like, on top of it, like, she even like kind of brings up how hypocritical it is for like, hang on, you were pissed because your brother hit Brooks when he found out.
But you're treating me the exact same.
Yeah.
And I think Teddy walks away and like leaves Emmy there.
Yeah.
I think Teddy's the one that kind of leaves and just like leaves the situation. She's like, yeah, no.
Like, I said what I said and
feel what I feel, and like, she's entitled. Like, honestly, this fight, I kind of felt the same way as like when Emmy was kind of overstepping in book 2 as well.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you're a very protective sibling, but at the same time too, like, no,
stop with the main character energy.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that your first thought wasn't, I'm happy for my friend and my brother, and it was, well, how is it going to affect me?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That tells a lot. And like, I love Emmy. I think Emmy is a good character, but it shows a good deal about her where like, she really does just process how things are for her instead of like big picture.
Which is okay, but like, also kind of think of the others around you too, because like, you're gonna hurt and damage those relationships. And Emmy knows that she's hurt Teddy very severely.
Yeah.
But they do take a little bit of time apart, a couple days apart.
And they don't even, like, it's not even like mic drop and walk. Teddy literally says, like, I need a beat. I'm not, like, this, we are not friends anymore. Like, nothing like that. Just like, hey, I needed to say this. You needed to hear this. And now I just need some space.
Yep. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Then the next part we're at is we're back at the Devil's Boot. Because we love to be at
Always.
the bar. Love to be at the boot, and we're there for the grand opening.
Yes.
For the second floor.
And the mechanical bull.
Yeah, Sue.
Yes.
A bull named Sue.
You don't know a boy named Sue?
A bull named Sue or whatever?
A boy.
Oh, it is a boy?
Yes, named Sue.
Yeah, no.
Johnny Cash.
I know it is. I mean, did I listen to it? No, but yeah.
We'll play it later.
So
we have to make some content for the Instagram. We'll make a video with your reaction to the boy named Sue.
I should have did one for your reaction for the last thing. For her like little dedication in the back. So we're at the Devil's Boot, and it's the opening for the second floor and for the bowl. And Gus and Teddy haven't really seen each other as well since this fight with Emmy. I think she did talk to him about it and say that her and Emmy did talk, but they kind of haven't like actually like seen each other in person. And Gus wears a new shirt, which Wes recognizes kind of like right away, like, oh, you're looking different, you're looking nice and good. And Teddy shows up in not the pink version, but I pictured it almost like when Barbie's dressed up in her little cowgirl outfit.
Yeah.
But like black
silver
version and silver.
Yeah. So like it was very disco cowgirl.
Yes.
Like, because that's the thing. So very disco cowgirl. And your shirt would be perfect.
Yeah, so it'd be my very bedazzled shirt here. So she shows up and they kind of like flirt a little bit at first and in front of all of the friend group.
Yeah.
Because of course everyone knows.
Hard launch.
Luke
hard launch.
A gossip. So Emmy had to tell him and Luke told everyone. Let's be real.
Hard launch the relationship. No hesitation.
So then they flirt a little bit and Teddy goes and does the first bull ride. Also to mention, there's a couple guys who pick up Teddy's tab. And at first he's like, Gus is like, do I be jealous? No, because she's going home with me. So like, I think he's starting to kind of accept her. Like,
also, the guys who picked up Teddy's tabs are the old barflies. They're like the 60-year-old barflies.
Always let those people pick up your tabs. Always do it.
You know about this. I don't go to bars, so I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to say I get free drinks sometimes from, like, old dudes, and I don't do nothing. I'm just like, oh, hi. How's it going? Okay, I got to go to the bathroom. Bye.
I don't go to bars. If I go to bars, it's with my mountain man, and I just hang out.
Yeah, I go there mostly to hang out with the bouncers, honestly.
I just chill with Jeff, and Jeff does his thing, and I exist.
You chill about it.
Sometimes we get funny comments because my boyfriend also has very long curly hair, so a lot of people will comment about who has better hair or sharing hair products.
Dude, Wayne has better hair than me. I'm so jealous. My husband has very long curly hair, and like this is like flat. There ain't nothing here. He's got gorgeous hair.
This is only flat today because I had a hair appointment last night, and shout out to Gabby for taking the time to blow it out because I don't.
What's sad is Wayne's hair is almost as long as mine. Like, he might be an inch off of my hair. He's gonna have longer hair than me. That's not fair. Not fair.
It's okay. We need to get back on
back on track. So we do our bull ride. Teddy does phenomenal. She rides the whole 8 or 10 seconds. 8 seconds. And then she's kind of like talking to her little admirers afterwards, and Gus kind of just goes up and kisses her right in front of everyone. He's like, was that a hard launch before?
Power move.
This is it. And they leave, and they go home together, and they have fun together at home. And then Cam comes home, which causes Teddy to have to move back home. She doesn't have to, but she chooses to move back home.
Yeah, I think she looked at it. She wasn't looking at it as like, this is done, I'm done here. It was more, hey, the agreement was I live here for the summer, but I need to go back to real life. Like, I do need to figure out my stuff out, and I will probably be back once it's figured out.
And she was worried about Hank because she wasn't really comfortable with leaving him after his heart attack. But they kept telling her, like, Aggie and him kept telling her, like, I will be fine here. Like,
they do have, like, home nurses, too. Like, they've already had home nurses there. So, like, sorry, excuse me.
It's okay, I've been trying to swallow my burps.
But, like, so, like, Hank was well taken care of. But, so Teddy goes back for the night, and Cam comes to grab Riley, and Cam's like, where's Teddy? Like, why'd she leave? And Gus is like, yeah, she just said she had to go take care of Hank. And, like, of course Cam is concerned because she'd heard. So she's like, is he doing okay? Like, everybody cares about Hank. It's touching. But we also get, like, the moment of, like, Cam's like, all right, sit down at the table. We need to talk. Here's a beer. Which I appreciate because, like, it's like she
and the beer.
And she knows. She's like, it's a beer conversation. Here you go. And, like, she kind of just lays into him. She's like, you have been alone for so long, and there is no reason that you have to be alone. Stop taking all this on your own. Kind of stop being a stubborn ass. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. And as Riley's mother, there is nobody that I would love and respect more to add into our co-parenting than Teddy. Which, like, props to Cam. Because, like, Cam is just like, you better fucking be with this woman. Because, like, I want my daughter to also be raised by her.
Because, again, they're all friends. Like, Cam and Teddy are friends. And this is also when Cam kind of opens up about her own relationship a little bit.
Yes.
So she really doesn't want to get married to Greg, whatever his name is.
And, like, she literally even says, she's like, it is by my own devices, but he does not have a relationship with Riley. He views Riley like a little roommate.
Yep.
They don't hang out. They don't go do fun family things together. It's not like he's mean to Riley, but he is very absent from Riley's life. And that is how Cam wants it. Cam does not want him involved. Cam is marrying him because her family, who she's not as close to, has pressured her into marrying him, and he has money.
Yeah, because he's not a lawyer, but
he's in tech.
Yeah, he's something of like a high busy, because he was excited to go to Jacksonville so he could be closer to his connections.
Jackson Hole.
Yeah, that's all.
Jacksonville's in Florida. Jackson.
Well, I remember it was one of the Jackson ones, but
yeah. So, like, and, like, props to Cam for literally saying, like, this is not a man I really want in my daughter's life. This is a man that is being forced into my daughter's life.
But Cam is still going to go along with it. Like, regardless that she's not happy, like, she's still going to go through with this marriage. even though Gus kind of tells her too, like, you don't have to do this. Like, if you don't want to get married to him, don't.
And she literally says, she's like, I understand that, but I have to.
Yep.
And like, we're going to find out more about that family situation too.
Yeah.
We do find out later in the book, Cam had originally asked Amos to walk her down the aisle and give her away. And then her family threw a fit and said no. So obviously they're all invited, but there's obviously more to that relationship with her family that we don't know, but they are making decisions for Cam.
Theories. I wonder if they're the reason why her and Dusty.
Probably. Because like from what we've heard, like Dusty was like a rough kid.
Yep, and he just wanted to be a singer and like a musician, and like that's just not a reliable field. And let's just say her parents are like more up
and like
up.
Be a rancher and just go around and do whatever. So yeah, so like I heard a noise and I don't know what it was. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So we do find out that, but like Gus kind of is like, I got the green light from Cam. Like there, I don't think he was waiting for it. I do think him and Cam would have had a conversation regardless, but I don't think it was ever like
he had to have that stamp of approval. But I think it's important for co-parenting, like for you to want to introduce your kid to your partner, like it should be okay with the other parent.
And like it's not even like they were just Teddy was always around Riley. Yeah. Teddy was around since Riley was born. So it wasn't like it was a stranger either. I think Cam was just like, oh, you finally got your head out of your ass and are doing what everybody saw from the beginning.
Because, like, he's never really been with girls either. Like, he was with Cam, but, like, you don't hear of any relationships. Didn't date. Like, this is just something finally for himself that he can have and have someone for him.
Yeah.
So they have this cute love their relationship. I love Gus and Cam's relationship. And then we get to see Teddy and Emmy make up again, where, like, Emmy apologizes for how she talked to Teddy, and, like, they do talk about their relationship and how their relationship is changing, but they're still each other's soulmates. Like, Luke might be her partner, but Emmy is her soulmate.
Yes.
And Teddy is her soulmate, and things like that.
Yep.
So I like their, like, little makeup. That was, like, cute.
It was sweet.
And I thought it was good pace for it too. Like the girls both got their own time separate from each other to process how one another felt, and then were able to kind of come together for it.
Yes. And then so basically what's next is Gus is doing his thing at the ranch like normal, and Amos is like, I'm gonna help you today. Like, I got nothing better. I'm gonna come help you today. And they're going up this mountain trail that Gus doesn't usually go. He doesn't really go to like the north side of the ranch very often. And Amos is like, oh yeah, there's like these pink jasmine flowers that just grow there. And like Gus had remembered, because Teddy was upset. They found 2 of the 3 last flowers. And the other thing was, Teddy was embroidering these flowers onto material for Riley. She didn't know if she was going to make it into a pillow or like what, but she was embroidering each flower and pressing them in the book for her and Riley to have. And they were really upset because this pink jasmine flower was the first flower that Riley was interested into. And they could not find it anywhere. And like their summer came to a close and they didn't have this last flower. So like Gus kind of looks at Amos. He's like, you know where these flowers are? And Amos is like, yeah, they're somewhere. Yeah.
So Gus asks for his first day off ever. And like Amos is so happy that he's finally asking for a day
time off.
And like to be able, and like Amos knows because Amos is the best Cupid.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gus goes up there to kind of clear the path before grabbing the girls. And he texts Teddy, who he hasn't really seen since going home with her since the Devil's Spook, to kind of meet him at the ranch. And he calls Cam. He's like, can I borrow Riley? And she's like,
of course.
Is this about Teddy?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah.
Then yes. So they go up to the field and they see the flowers. And they get to have like a cute little family moment up into the field together, kind of hang out, like kind of like a picnic, because Gus has some like sandwiches,
brings like food, and like they get the flower, and like but the thing we kind of do get, like, because they were doing wedding stuff, and like Riley's as excited as like a little kid is, but like you can kind of see like Riley's not even fully. Riley's doing it to be with her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Riley is not excited about whatever his name is.
No, because Riley struggled through this book a lot with missing her mom, which is understandable. Like, I remember in the summer, I would go down to see my grandparents for a month or sometimes 2 months straight, and I would get so homesick for my mom and, like, my dad, just because I wanted my parents, but it's just kind of, like, that natural thing at the age, so I feel like she was just so excited to be around her mom again and, like, wear a cute, pretty flower girl dress and, like, throw flowers, and, like, she's just a little ray of sunshine.
Yeah. So it kind of cuts away. Teddy is, I think, back in. They're getting ready for Cam's wedding. So, like, Teddy's getting ready at the house. So I'm assuming Teddy's moved back into Gus's house.
Is, like, the epilogue.
Yeah. Too. And they're going to the church, and, like, Riley's with her mom, and they're going to the church, and they get there, and they kind of notice Amos isn't in their section with them. And Gus is like, oh, like, maybe, like, Cam just said fuck you and is having Amos walk her down the aisle. And then all of a sudden Amos does show up and says, Gus, we need you in the back. And, like, not red flags, but, like, alarm bells go off. And, like, everybody's like, baby daddy's, like, maybe something's going on with Riley. Like, nobody knows. So Gus goes into the back, and I am skipping so much.
You skipped
backwards. Yeah, I'm sorry. Backwards. So before this, Teddy and Gus go to Jackson Hole to try to get Teddy's sewing machine fixed, because it's a vintage sewing machine. And
we forgot something else.
The jacket.
Yep.
The jacket. Gus had got the jacket fixed.
Yes,
Gus
by her old boss.
Yes, got the jacket fixed by her old boss. I think Teddy figured out that she's going to sell her own designs and be a design person. She's also selling some in baby blue. And then they go to Jackson Hole on this little just them vacation, and they get the sewing machine fixed, and they go into this, like, vintage jewelry shop, and they found this beautiful, like, emerald ring, and Gus just proposes to her right then and there, so they're engaged already.
Because she tries, like, fitting it on other fingers, and it doesn't
only fits on her ring finger. So Gus just proposes right then and there.
Which, like, I don't care about that.
I love it. I don't mind it at all. It fits them. Like, they've known each other
for years.
Yeah,
like,
so this is fine. But, so they're at Cam's wedding, and Gus goes to go into this back room, and it's the bridal suite, whatever. And Cam is crying, just holding this piece of paper, and we find out that what the fuck his face is not coming to the wedding, and is standing Cam up at the church.
Yep.
Oh my fucking God.
We hate him. We're riding at dawn. We hate him.
I have not felt rage that deeply in a while. Because, like, again, it sounds weird, but, like, I've pack bonded to these books. Yeah. These girls are my girls. And, like, I literally have the reaction that if that happened to one of my friends, and, like, I want to hunt him down and kill him.
Dusty's gonna do it for us, don't worry.
I don't know. I think Gus is gonna do it.
I think Gus actually might do it.
I think they're gonna have just a posse of the Rebel Blue Boys at this man's door.
Yeah, so
this fucking yuppie.
She texts me, she's like, are we supposed to be okay with Cam not wanting to get married? I'm like, yes. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
But, and then I don't know, because it's not in this book. I think it was, like, on a screenshot that Lyla, like, posted on her story or on her Instagram or whatever, and it was, like, a tiny little snippet. But it was, like, from Dusty's point of view, and I think he was at Devil's Boot getting drunk during the wedding.
I think that's the extra chapter.
Maybe that's the extra chapter. Like, it's in either here or it was on her, like, Instagram for it. But, like, yeah, maybe.
Oh, no, it's Cam's chapter first.
I don't know if I actually read that. Did you read that?
No.
I didn't read that.
I don't read bonus chapters.
Oh, no?
So, like, unless it's a bonus chapter that goes with the book I just read, I don't read teaser chapters for the next book because it's going to take too long to come out and I'm going to make myself mad.
Gotcha. Makes sense. But yeah, I think, like, he's drinking and he's, like, debating about going to the wedding to stop it, but then he decides not to.
I think that's a teaser. I don't think that, because this chapter's Cam's.
So I don't think, I haven't read that. I'm going to definitely read that later.
I don't. Just on principle.
My other thing that I want to give, like, 10 stars to, Chef's Kiss, which we already mentioned a little bit, the Lost, Lassoed, and Lane chapter in this, which is, like, the dedication chapter to Lila's dad. And I just want to say how perfect that was. I thought that was so sweet. of like, I noticed like seeing like a shitty car roll in your driveway and you're like, I literally hate this thing, but they love it, so I'm gonna love it. And I just like her little tribute to her family.
Yeah.
And like the little snippets. And that was like the part that I was playing for Hallie earlier. Like the audio of it, of her reading, is just so sweet.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I really do.
I did too. I really enjoyed that.
So I honestly think this might be my favorite romance book of the year.
Really?
I think it's my favorite romance book I've read of the year. Because I was looking at, when I was doing the little Goodreads, little like, oh, blah, blah, the other one that were like my other two were like Daydream and Leather and Lark were like new releases this year. And Swift and Saddled was on there too.
Yep.
But I definitely, I mean, as soon as I read the dedication about this, I knew this was going to be probably my favorite book in this entire series. And it did not falter for me.
No. I mean, okay, so like I said, I was a little let down. I think it's just because I hyped it up so much in my head, and I wanted a longer book. I think I just like long books.
We know.
I
like
can't
long
help
books
it.
too. Like 500 pages, people.
Okay, that maybe like 420, 450.
500.
That takes me a while. Like this arc I'm reading, Vice and Void, is like 400 and something, and I'm only 22%, and it comes out very soon. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna have it done before release day, and I'm so stressed out.
I really don't want to advertise this, but I feel like it's only right to advertise. If you guys are not on NetGalley, you guys can check out NetGalley and possibly receive our copy of Wild and Wrangled. We will all probably get rejected because everyone's probably going to run to that page as fast as we both did yesterday to apply for it. But if you guys are interested in getting an art copy, there is a way to do that. I will probably not link that in the bio because that is, you have to make an account on NetGalley and then apply.
Top secret information.
But it's really not that hard if you guys are interested in it. And there's plenty of ways, like if you're interested in arc reading, feel free to like DM Hallie for sure. She'll be able to give you a little bit more insight because you have way more arcs than I do. I have some arcs. I'm on a couple websites, but not too many. But yeah, I love this book. I highly, highly, highly recommend this series if you're in your cowboy romance era, or if you're just looking for like a nice, cozy read. These are good. I think you could space these out. Like you wouldn't have to read all of them back to back to back, but like they're a nice kind of like just warm read. You just want to like hang out for the weekend. These are your books.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
All right. Other than that, we will link everything in the description below. Please like this video. Give us a follow on our Instagram.
I will try to be more active on our Instagram. I have my personal page, this page, and my like personal page that is not book related. So I get a little lost in making posts. I'm also not as aesthetic as you are, so I'm trying not to do that to our our podcast page.
And that's my dilemma, is I try to be too aesthetic, so I feel like I'm not as good as consistently posting on my Instagram, my Bookstagram.
My Bookstagram is just chaos. You see whatever I have right by my window here on my couch while I'm reading, and a lot of Jelly Bean, because she is my reading buddy. Sometimes the puppy dog of a Hildis, who is not a puppy and more of a dog at this point.
Yeah,
but she is very sweet, and I love her. So sometimes you see the black dog, that is the Hildy. Oftentimes you see the little bean. But
you maybe will see my cats, maybe.
Yeah.
I have a picture of Cleo that I was going to send you. Mia, she really ain't chill. But both my cats look identical. They're little tuxedo cats.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We like female cats here.
Yes,
female animals are very sweet. Please stop demonizing them on social medias.
Not that we don't like the boy cats, but we're in the
everybody focuses on like, oh, like the boy animals sit by you and look at you like you're the prettiest thing in the world. I'm like, do you know how much this cat is attached to my hip? I literally can't go anywhere.
Literally, like my cats last night, one was like sitting on the couch next to me while I was watching the fights, and then the other one's like sitting on the ground just both staring at me. I'm like, I'm just trying to read my book. Why are y'all staring at me so much right now?
Yeah. And like Hildy's attached to my hip. Like, girls are girls animals too. Mm-hmm. Animals can be girls. And they are.
Yes.
They are.
All right, y'all. Run, If you guys have not already, run right now and get yourself a copy of this. You will not be disappointed.
It is worth it.
And we will see you guys next time.
Yes. Bye.